Do you struggle to say no or to hold your ground? Setting strong boundaries has made a big difference in me having self-respect, but I wasn't always this way. But using this tool really helped me to hold my ground, to gain respect, and to maintain my boundaries. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a saying no ladder. I'm going to talk through some tips of how to use it well, and then I'm going to show you mine so you can see what it looks like in real life. So you can go from self-silencing to freedom and strength in who you are. A saying no ladder is a way to practice saying no and setting boundaries to work up to harder things. So your ladder has three distinct categories, three rungs. The bottom rung are easy situations, things that don't have a lot of stake on them. It could be a casual dinner invite or a group outing with some people. The second rung are medium level things. So this could be a request from a coworker, somebody you see much more frequently in the day, so there's more stake there. The third rung, the top rung, is hard things, high stakes. So this could be a request from your boss or an unreasonable ask from your family about something sensitive. So take the time to write down in your life a variety of things that fall into each one of those categories. You want 2 to 3 options, and easy, the bottom rung, medium, the second rung, and hard, the third rung of your ladder. But it's not enough to just know where your life fits on this. There are some specific tips you have to understand to properly move up your ladder and get better at these boundaries. What you're going to do when things are categorized is you're going to pick something from the bottom rung of your ladder, something easy, even if it's not a bother in your life, and you're going to commit to saying no. What you need to do is first plan in advance what you're going to say. You never want to have to think of on the moment some reason you can't do something. So it could simply be, sorry, I can't go to dinner tonight. I have some stuff I got to take care of at home. And that's it. That's all you have to say, but plan it in advance so it's easy to spit out. The second thing is you always want to be truthful. Never make up a reason or lie as an excuse to get out of something. Now, you don't have to over-defend yourself or over-explain. So if somebody pushes back, just hold your ground and say, I just got a lot to do at home. I'll do this next time. Thanks for the invite. But never lie about it. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to find yourself having an easier time with this bottom rung of the ladder. So reflect on this as you go. Every week, pray, journal, reflect on how it feels to say no to this thing. You're going to find it's easier and quicker to hold your ground. Once you do, pick something on the second rung. Pick a medium strength thing and start working at that. Commit to saying no to that and holding your ground. And then after that, you're going to reflect and go to something hard. You're going to be building the muscle along the way, and it's going to get easier and easier. But if you start at the hard thing, the thing that really needs to happen, you're never going to be able to hold it. Now, it's not enough to know where things lie and then know generally what you got to do. There are some really critical things you have to have as frameworks in your mind before you move on. Now, you can make progress with what we've already talked about, but it won't be very sustainable. You need to remember 3 very, very critical tips. 1 is remember why you are doing this and own it. The reason you're doing this process and using this tool is because you lack the freedom and the capacity to say no and hold your boundaries at that top rung. Just own that. You just are not able to do that right now. And that's why you're starting lower and systematically, incrementally improving yourself as you move up this ladder to then where you have the freedom to say no and hold at those really high stakes situations. Number 2 is that you need to give yourself grace and levity through the process. This is very difficult. Setting boundaries is one of the hardest things you could do. So as you fail, as you struggle, as you don't want to do it, as you feel uncomfortable, be okay with that. Don't hold it against yourself. Give yourself grace. And number 3 is that when you struggle and you start to fail over and over, it's okay to back off and go to the rung down. Go down to medium, go down to easy, keep practicing. Build the strength, build the consistency, get used to the feeling, and then move back up. It's okay to back off. You want to be sustainable. You don't want to burn yourself out. If you can remember those 3 things, it's going to be very, very helpful in your growth as a boundary setter. Now, I'm going to show you what this looks like for me, what my saying no ladder looks like, because that's going to give you a good idea of how this can apply to your own life. Now, in my own use of the saying no ladder, I had 3 distinct examples for each of the 3 rungs. My bottom rung, the easiest rung, were casual dinner invites. Now, this is something I got a lot of, or it could have been breakfast, lunch, coffee, because I love going out to eat. So I hung out with people who also like to do those things. It was a normal invite, a normal thing for me with my friend group. But I committed to saying no for a certain span of time to improve that muscle, even though it was hardly an inconvenience. But I chose that thing. Now, if I got worried that I was going to offend people or they'd stop inviting me, I would just give an invite of my own later in the week, but if anybody asked me, I committed to saying no in order to practice and holding my ground. Now, I got used to this pretty quick, and so I moved up to my second rung, which was work or extra tasks at work. I had people they'd become overwhelmed and they'd come ask for my assistance with something, but I was already at capacity and I was full. But I would take it on anyways because naturally I tend towards people pleasing, and so I wanted to help them. This was harder and this took a long time, but I committed to saying no. It was tough because I saw them feel abandoned maybe, or uncomfortable, or overwhelm themselves, and I didn't like to see that. But they needed to find a way to solve that problem, to get their help without overwhelming the next person in line. And over time, I got used to the uncomfortable feelings, and then I was able to move past that. It became comfortable. I was confident in what I was doing because I know it was best for all the parties involved. I stayed here a while, but eventually I got used to this, and I moved on to my third rung. Now, I had a friend in my life who used me as an emotional dumping ground, and they meant it innocently. They just needed help, and they used me as a place to just vent and put it all on my shoulders and then expect me to really not even help. They just wanted to talk, and they weren't looking for ways to change. But I couldn't keep taking that because it was weighing me down. I was thinking about this, and there was no reciprocity. They wouldn't ask about me. They wouldn't engage in me about what I needed support with. It was just they couldn't see past their own problem, and they knew I would be receptive to that conversation. Now, this was very, very difficult because I did not like seeing them left alone in this, but I started saying no. I had built up the muscle to accomplish this. I said no to them, and I said, I will not talk about this until you're talking with a professional, a counselor, somebody who can do more than I could at that time in my life. And as they did that, I opened up, but I held my ground, but I would never have been able to do that if I hadn't practiced on my second and bottom rung down. Now, choosing to use this tool or deciding what goes on it, that's all decision making. And sometimes we get paralyzed by decisions. We have a video all about how to analyze your decisions well from professional therapeutic techniques and mindsets so that you can remove the emotion from what you're doing. You can remove things that make it hard in a vague decision, and you can have an objective idea of where you need to go next. Watch that, and that may be the tool that you need to put in your tool belt to then move on to something bigger like the saying no ladder or something much more extensive in your life. Now, please like and subscribe as we're going to keep posting videos that are going to bring a lot of tools and tricks to your mental health. And we'll talk to you next time. Thank you.